As the key witness in the trial against Hector Ayala, Nikki Torres's life is threatened by the NYPD. And even though Nikki does make it to the courthouse safely, the police intimidation is just too great for him, and he ends up committing perjury by testifying that he was never assaulted. But with no way to prove that his witness was tampered with, Murdoch has no option but to release Nikki Torres as a witness. This leads him to go for a huge Hail Mary pass, where he reveals Hector's identity as the White Tiger in open court, without his client's consent and despite initially pushing against it. But the move does allow Murdoch to highlight witness accounts and police records of Hector's heroic deeds, and it works. Murdoch and McDuffie successfully convinced the jury to declare Hector not guilty, and what a wonderfully nice moment that made for the show, one that highlighted why Murdoch is such a really good lawyer. And I have to admit that I really liked seeing this side of Murdoch, because while some people may not have enjoyed the lack of action in this episode, I was completely captivated by all of the courtroom drama. It was all very good, and it showed us what Murdoch is really good at aside from just being Daredevil. This guy could make a pretty good living as a full-time lawyer, you know, if he didn't always have the devil lurking within him, that is. But just because Hector wasn't legally charged with murdering a police officer doesn't mean that his life was suddenly going to get easier. After all, the police officers that we've seen in the past few episodes were all shown to be corrupt and aggressive. So I was very worried about Hector's safety, since I definitely expected to see him being harassed by the cops. And well, that worry wasn't exactly unfounded, since Hector was immediately murdered once he went on patrol as the White Tiger. Which really sucks, because Hector was clearly a good person at heart. A good person who only ever wanted to do the right thing, even if it meant putting himself in danger. And I feel like we didn't even get to know too much about his character. We barely know what his relationship to his partner was even like. So I do wish that we got to spend more time with his character, but it'll be interesting to see how his death will affect the story moving forward, especially since Fisk has been rattling people with his stance on anti-vigilantism. But before I move on, I'd like to mention that Hector was portrayed by actor Camar de los Reyes, who unfortunately passed away in December after a battle with cancer. Because I may not be familiar with Reyes' work outside of the show, but I was really impressed with his performance here. He did a fantastic job playing a small supporting yet hugely impactful character in this show, so I just wanted to take the time to acknowledge his work. He may not have been a household name, but that doesn't take away from the incredibly impressive legacy he's left behind. May he rest in peace. But before the episode comes to an end, we see that Hector was murdered by a man wearing the Punisher's iconic skull emblem, and this isn't the first time that we've seen this logo used within this show. So I'm definitely curious to see where this show is heading with this plot point, since it definitely feels like the Punisher has some copycats running around out there. Which isn't surprising, the guy definitely has his fans in the real world, so it makes sense that he would have fanatics within his own universe as well. But how is the Punisher going to feel about other people using his symbol for their own causes? I don't know, but I definitely hope we'll find out really soon. So I can't wait to see what'll happen on the next episode of Daredevil Born Again once it gets released on Tuesday.